essentially, should kids now get the COVID vaccine? This is the big debate. UK has approved Pfizer jab for 12 to 15-year-olds. And the question, well, there's loads of questions to do with this, isn't there? Do they really need them? Is there any additional risk involved? Should kids really be getting it? What's the point? And on the line right now, we've got Professor Hugh Pennington, Emeritus Professor of Bacteriology at Aberdeen University. Fantastic, Professor, to have you on. Great to have you on board. First and foremost, do you think kids should get the vaccine?
In principle, yes. The more people that get the vaccine, the more immunity we have across the population as a whole, the harder the virus will be to hang around in there. So that's the sort of basic thing. I mean, the vaccination programs have two aims. One is to save lives. The elderly, people at risk, and all that kind of thing have been targeted, and most of them have had the vaccine, but we haven't gone for the young people because they don't generally get very ill with the virus. And in fact, many of them don't get ill at all. They don't even know they've had it. But they can spread it. They can get it and spread it to other people. And not everybody who's had the vaccine, not all the elderly, for example, have either had the vaccine or maybe they haven't made a very good immune response. So, no vaccine is 100%. So in principle, yes. Of course, there's another argument about, well, we should be giving some of our vaccine to other countries that haven't got enough, because and that's self-interest as well as international interest. It's not just helping to save lives in other countries. The less virus there is about in other countries, the less chance it has of coming here. And of course, that's what happened in the first place. It came here from other countries. Then it did the same again for the second wave. And that's why there's all the jumping up and down about Portugal and international travel.
Yeah.
We had a problem with that. We had a bit of, not to put too fine a point on it.
No, absolutely. Look, this is a question that I know a lot of people will be thinking, and I am thinking it, okay, which is, do not at the moment have, but just by virtue of the timescale that we were dealing with, we do not have all the long-term data on a lot of these vaccines. Is it morally okay at the moment to shove a vaccine into a 12-year-old's arm without knowing full well what the long-term implications of this could be?
Well, the question is, how are you going to determine that without using it in the first place?
Well, that's the point. So why bother? Why risk it when these kids aren't going to be getting ill with it? All right, they might pass it on, but everyone else should be vaccinated, so they shouldn't really be passing it on.
Yeah, we know that when we give these vaccines to people who have other health problems, and elderly folk were more likely to have some sort of problem with their immune systems and so on, we know that these vaccines are safe, and we can...
Do we actually?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And of course, they won't be giving these vaccines to these kids until there's been enough evidence to say, yes, this is a safe vaccine, and we're not going to run into the sort of problems that we've had with other vaccines over history. But these are vaccines that are designed to be very safe. They are very safe. The side reactions are very, very rare, and so on. And there's absolutely no reason to suppose from a biological, from an immunological point of view, that kids are going to react any way different from adults. In fact, the kids are probably going to be tougher to do that. They won't make the same kind of, there's nothing particular about kids except their age, really, in terms of making the any kind of safety issue. And I think you can be reassured that we have a very good program in the UK of making sure that we're not going to give vaccines to people unless they're as safe as they need to be. We can never say that any medicine is completely safe, but we can say it's so safe it's worth having for you as a person. You're not going to come to any harm by having it. In fact, the benefits are going to completely outweigh the risk. And of course, with kids, the problem is we're not protecting them against going into the intensive care unit. We're protecting the population at large. So it's a bit of an ethical thing here.
It is, I do get that. And then the flip side to it, I suppose, isn't it, that, well, actually, if everyone else has been vaccinated, all the vulnerable and all the elderly, then I suppose, does it really matter? I mean, do these kids really need it? As long as there's any risk. Look, our phone lines are, as you can imagine, going a bit wild on this, 03444991000, and it's great to see. Just quickly, because we're being squeezed by the news, Professor Hugh, but are you in favour of mandatory vaccination? Do you think that this should just be done almost, regulated, put into law, and so now kids and indeed everyone has to have this vaccine?
No, absolutely not. If you look at one of the big lessons from history, we had mandatory vaccination for smallpox in the 19th century, and it created far more problems than the one it was supposed to solve. And you had to have a system for conscientious objectors, and It helped the anti-vax people no end, having a compulsory system where the law came down on you and you put to prison if you didn't have the, no way are we going to go to that. No way. I think the only way, and we learned by bitter experience, the only way is to have a very good information program so that people know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly, for example, parents know exactly what, if any, risks there are for their children and why their children are being vaccinated. We've got to explain, the reason why it's worth doing this for these younger kids.
Professor Hugh, thank you so much. Brilliant to have you on board. Professor Hugh Pennington there.